Hello and welcome. We are back with SimRace South Africa simTC Challenge. This is the 2022.1 season and we are back for round 2. Very big welcome to everyone tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to be cutting shortly through to the main feed. We're going to have a look. I am Ryan Hill. I'll be keeping you company in the booth this evening. Feel free to sign off and chat. I'll try and keep an eye on your messages. Questions, you can say hi. And we are at a new track for SimRace South Africa this season. We are at the New Jersey Motorsports Park, in particular the Lightning course. So this is quite an interesting track mod hosted on Race Department. It's a scratch-built track using aerial LiDAR data, so it's fairly accurate. More on that later. I'm going to be showing you a little video of what that entails. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It's a 1.9 mile road course, I'll use the Americanisms, located in southern New Jersey in the town of Millville. And what's very interesting about that is it's built on an old World War II Army airfield. So the tracks themselves were built in 2008, and there are actually 2 road courses. One is called Thunderbolt, and the other is called Lightning, and that has some tie into World War II because it's referring to the Republic P-47 Thunderbolt fighter aircraft, as well as the Lockheed P-38 Lightning, the also fighter aircraft, that sort of twin piston-engined sort of double-wing affair, which looks pretty epic. So yeah, quite a historical little backing to this track, and we'll be racing on the Lightning course, which is the smaller of the 2 tracks, which turns out to be pretty perfect for this simTC affair. Of course, as you can see there, we're in the Audi Sport TT Cup cars for the season. Sort of a one-make supercar racing series we've gone back to. And yeah, drivers are currently in overtime of the practice session, so we should see it clicking over into qualifying shortly, and we'll be going into 15 minutes of that. And then after a little break, we'll be going into a hour-long race session. Just while that ticks over so long, let's go and have a quick look at the weather forecast for today. So we are racing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Being in the northern hemisphere right now, it's still quite cold, so that's a 5-degree ambient temperature, very chilly. And the road temperature is only warmed up a little, so up to 10 degrees, which is still quite cold, relatively speaking. The grip is there though, starting at 99% with a gain of 5 laps, so I think drivers are actually going to be finding themselves with no troubles in terms of grip levels. Wind is negligent, so there's not really much to speak of there. So of course we're in round 2, so what that means is that I can also show you how things are hotting up in the championship so far. Quick look at this and bring it up on screen. So this is obviously following the first round we had a few weeks ago at the Red Bull Ring National Circuit, and this is how the driver championship is standing up so far. So we can see Nick Hodson leading the way, followed by Philip Minor and Charles Wilkin, and then all the way down there as you scan the list down to 15th place. The points differences are not too much between those, so it's still quite early in the season. Anyone's game really to be able to catch up. Of course we have the drop round in effect as well, so there's 6 rounds in the season, and we'll run until June, and at the end of the season we will take the best 5 results. So yeah, still time for everyone to get involved if you haven't already. It's for a very good cause, of course. Here at SimRace South Africa, we always support a particular charity. So as part of our entrance requirements, we request a minimum of 150 Rand be donated as your entrance fee, essentially, but that donation is paid directly to the charity itself. No money sort of crosses our hands, so to speak. We give you the banking details of the charity itself, and then in your proof of purchase you simply put SimRace South Africa with Jason Holden-Jones' email address, for example, so we can actually tally up how much money has gone towards the charity itself. Pretty proud to say that we've raised, since 2020, we've raised 124,508 Rand for charities. We've supported the Walnut Angel Project in Port Elizabeth, we've supported the Grace Factory, and for the last season as well as this season, we're currently supporting the Abba Adoption Specialists. So last year we raised 34,000 Rand for them, and to date we've raised 23,000 Rand this year. Still expecting a few more donations to roll in. So kudos to everyone involved, and I think everyone who's participating in the series. Just, you know, it's really great to be part of something special like that. So we're firmly into qualifying now. We can see the cars making their way around the field. We've got a little track map for you there on the right hand side of the screen. So you can see the little green arrow being the car that I'm currently focused on. Currently on board with Tian Elof, who topped the HLQ times earlier this week. We'll bring that up on screen in a little bit. So we're expecting him to be very quick today. Got Shiren Raj Paul as well, also very quick out of the block, sporting his new livery, the Dub Corp on the side there. Apologies for not having that correct in the last stream. That was a clerical error on my side, but there is his livery showing very nicely today. Gregory Hofart in the Grumpy Monkey Academy stream coming through as well. So of course these cars, the Audi TT Sport Cup cars, if you're unfamiliar to them, what's different about them, or what's quite interesting about them, is that they have a push-to-pass feature. During the race, I think the top drivers, or the top 10 positions, will obtain 10 push-to-passes that they can use during the race. It's not available during qualifying, so everyone has to run without it right now. And the drivers further towards the back of the field get some extra push-to-passes to use. I think up to about 14 or 15, as much as that. So it gives them a little incentive to still be able to keep up with the rest of the field and essentially still be in the running of the race, which is quite nice. What I thought I'd do next is I've got a little bonus video for you just before I play the official lap guide put together from Nick Hodson, just to show you the quality of detail that has gone into this track by the author himself, which is Lilski, a very famous author who's made quite a few other Assetto Corsa mod tracks. And what I want to show you now is his actual onboard of the track, and just how he's laid it side by side, and just how similar or identical he's actually got them to that degree. So without further ado, here you go. So yeah, there you have it. That is how similar he's been able to recreate the track very faithfully. A lot of attention to detail around the size of the track as well. So certainly a very good track for us to race on tonight. What you can see there as well in that previous video, and you'll see certainly with Nick, who's about to commentate on it a little bit as well, is that the track features quite a lot of elevation changes. A few lengthy straightaways as well, so it should present a few good passing opportunities, especially with the push to pass when it comes into play. So yeah, very keen to see how that plays out. top end of the field here, we have Charles Wilkin. Currently in third position on his hot lap. He's up on his delta, but only marginally, so he's still just holding true as he crosses the line there. Nick Hodson in the Grumpy Monkey livery coming around about turn 8-ish now, about to hit turn 9, looking for a good exit onto that main straight. He's up on his delta as well, so his time should improve slightly. Tian Elov currently in P1, down on his delta at the moment though, so looks like he may or may not be held up by traffic ever so slightly ahead, so it may do well for him just to back off a little bit, give himself some space, although he is currently in P1, about a tenth of a second or thereabouts above Nick. A little bit further down the fields we see Gregory Hofart just leaving the track there temporarily, followed closely by Sas van der Westhuizen. Sean Bingham's just teleported to pits. Shiren Raj Paul trying to make some space from there as well. Peter Geldness is with us tonight. Hardest Boyser in the Point Blank Racing livery. Renier Leach for Leach Racing. Dirk Brand with us tonight. Good to see you in Div1, Dirk. Mike McGear for BWR and their famous multicolored liveries. Neil Pretorius, teammate to Hilton Nickerson. Good to see them on track, also sporting their nice new livery. Cameron Kelly for the Grumpy Monkey Academy, going around as well. James Leach Sr. and Roxanne Bartle. And it looks like we have Victor Fulter coming around here as well, and Christy Simon, which actually makes that a full field of 22 drivers. So good to see everyone's made it in. Tonight there was a fear or a risk of load shedding from Eskom. Great timing. I did see a couple of the Division 2 drivers unfortunately excuse themselves from the race. Fortunately it looks like everyone in Div 1 has made it in. Whether they have load shedding kicking in at 9 or not, I'm not sure. Hopefully everyone is able to actually complete the race. I'm going to quickly roll your tape from Nick Hodson. He's recorded an official lap guide video for you, so he's going to do a fast lap and just commentate on how to get around very quickly. Here you go.
Alright, good evening everybody and welcome to round 2 for the Touring Cars series here at SimRace SA for our 2022.1 series. We are of course at New Jersey Motorsports Park and we're in the Audi TT Cup qualifying, so no P2P, and we fly across the start finish line. Incredibly important to get a good run across the start finish line and braking just at the 2 marker, throwing the car in and over the curbs, using all of the torque that 5th gear provides to get an excellent exit, turning in just before the cone there, riding as far wide as you possibly can, gearing down to 4th gear and flicking the car through turn 4 and ensuring you don't cut the grass on the right hand side. It slows you down. Up and over the hill, cut the grass as much as you can to get a nice narrow and great exit. Into 5th gear we go, and we're looking for one of the more tricky braking points on the whole track, under the Subaru bridge, and braking just before the red and white curbing starts, getting a little bit of tail out action and back on the power through turn 7. You want to get a good exit there, and getting the tail out does help a little bit there, but only a small amount of tail out. Flicking the car in through turn 9, absolutely critical. Easily the most critical corner on the whole track. Get an excellent exit. See how I tuck the car in nice and tight there. No point in running all the way wide up through turn 10, keeping the car nice and narrow, center of the track, and we'll cross the line for a 1 minute 5.218.
Very much, Nick. Alright, thanks, Nick. And yep, so we are back with just 4 minutes remaining of qualifying. Just a quick hello to everyone in chat. How's it, Jackie? Joined late, you say. The top 12 are close. Yeah, we can see all of the top 5, well actually even, yeah, top 12, top 13 cars, top 14, all in the 105s, which is very close. Turn 9 critical, yes, so that's of course the basically the final corner. Just before you're getting onto the main straight, you want to try and keep as much speed up as possible on that. Tian Elof just pulling off the track there and teleporting back to pits. Looks like he's feeling pretty safe at the moment of the 104.9, so the only car on the 104s at the moment. It's a blisteringly quick time. See, we have Tian Elof shouting for Tian in the chat. How's it going? We've got Rob Priest shouting for Shiren Raj Paul. Speaking of the quick times, we can actually have a quick look at the HLQ. So HLQ, of course, being our hot lap qualifying, which ran for the entire week and allows drivers to slot themselves into the division according to other drivers of pace around them. We took the top 22 drivers into Division 1 tonight, and here we can see the top 22 drivers' times. So Tian, of course, topping the charts with a 104.8, followed by Nick with a 105.1. So Tian, I think he's doing a 104.9 at the moment, so just a tenth off his quickest time. So yeah, certainly still up there and very quick. We've got Charles Wilkin in second right now. He's just pipped himself ahead of Nick and currently pulled off of the track. Let's see if Nick is still out on track. He is. Oh, he was a little bit up on this delta there and just. So he's still trying to maintain it through the corner. Let's hope this traffic in front of him looks like a Grumpy Monkey Academy car doesn't hold him up, because he should be able to bank this and go almost a tenth, at least a tenth, maybe a tenth and a half up on his time. As you can see, he's coming through turn 9 now, getting that power down. Maybe even gets a little bit of a slip behind this Grumpy Monkey Academy car. The two sister teams perhaps working together. He's going 2 tenths up on his lap time now. Let's see where we reckon that can put him. Can it bump him ahead of Charles? It does indeed, so he goes second. Excellent teamwork there, whether intentional or not. That was a great effort. How's it, Hannes in the chat shouting for Mike McGear. Of course, they're one of the BWR cars. He's just leaving the pits now, so he obviously wants to try and get at least one more hot lap in. He's got enough time for his out lap and a flying lap, so let's hope he puts himself out in the right place. I can see there's a little bit of traffic ahead of him, but it looks like one of the Leech cars. But he should be able to get a good gap. We'll keep an eye on him. We'll come back to Mike and see if he can improve on his time. Just going to bounce around the field and see if we can see anyone else on a hot lap that is up on the delta. Here's one. We see James Leach, sort of a 39 hundredths of a second up on his delta coming through, which might give him, not sure, he needs to improve a little bit more to have a chance of getting 4th spot ahead of Philip Minar. So we'll see if the timing towers indicate a bump in that just now. Got a couple of guys in the pitch right now. Arenia Leach just crossed the line. Shiren Raj Paul only slightly up on his delta there. It's Peter Geldenes, almost looked like he was drifting around the corner there. A little bit further down the field we have Victor Fulter, currently almost a tenth up on his time. It's also going to have a nice improvement there. In fact, that should bump him a slot ahead of Dirk as well. Let's have a quick look back to Mike. I'm not sure where Mike's gone back to the pits. Unfortunately, it looks like he may have maybe just invalidated his lap there or met some traffic, but called it quits. Let's see who else is left here while we're in overtime. Well, we've got Nick again up almost over a tenth on his lap time, and again just tucked in behind his teammate there. Maybe also looking to get another good slip as he comes around turn 9 yet again for another improvement. Will he be able to beat Tian? He is into the 104s and he needs to improve by about a tenth. He's lost a little bit coming down turn 9. Will it be enough at 0.066 to improve as he crosses the line? Let's see. Oh, he goes top. It is. Look at that difference. 104.843 versus a 104.848. That is literally a whisker between the two. Excellent stuff. Alright guys, we are in overtime. We're going to have a quick 30-second break, and by the time we get back we are going to have a race start. we are back. There we see the pace car that I'm technically sitting in, the Mercedes-AMG SLS, sponsored by Yellow Design Co. over there. And while we wait in overtime, still drivers will have the opportunity now to make last-minute changes to their setup. Of course, they're going to be making sure they have enough fuel. Maybe set aside their strategy for their pit stop. Of course, we've got a pit window during the 1 hour race here of about it's 10 minutes into the race it opens and 10 minutes before the end of the race it closes. So drivers will be double checking their setups, making sure they get onto the field as they're now forming the grid. We're going to go onto the grid as it forms now. Just waiting for Nick's car to appear on the grid. Let me see if I can... That is interesting. Did Tion put Nick at the death there? I'm pretty sure I saw Nick go first, which is now confusing me as to why I'm seeing Tion's car on pole. Not sure what happened there, but maybe we can look at the replay and figure it out. Rap Snake Moan Gaming, shouting for Let's Go Mike. And the lights are coming on shortly. We're going to have 6 red lights, and then as they go off, we'll have green flag racing. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light, 5 light, 6 lights. The lights are off, and away they go. See the grumpy monkey car of Nick Hodgson just following Tion there through the first corner. Well, actually, no, that's Charles Wilkin. I lie, I'm sorry. Charles must have pipped Nick just before the death, because there it is, Charles, Nick, and Tion. We missed that during the advert break. Charles must have had a blistering lap on his final lap and pipped Nick there. Apologies. A couple of further changes down the field. We see Sean Bing getting ahead of Brynja Leach, Dirk Brand getting ahead of Peter Kaldenes. And as they make their way around, I'm going to flip to a different camera car so we can actually keep aside the head of the pack here. We see Tion Elof trying to go down the inside of Nick Hodgson. They're side by side, just trying to make it the way through turn 8 there. They're already onto turn 9. He's tucked in a lot behind. Let's just see if they're going to use any push to passes. You can see the push to pass activations in the tower. So right now there, see Charles Wiggins immediately flashes orange. So he's gone down to 13 uses already. So he's trying to stay ahead of the pack, while everyone else behind is seemingly not extending too much. Nick's still got 14 in the back. Oh, we got contact there. Nick's goes sliding, a big impact into the wall, and he is sent spinning. That is unfortunate. The bonnet, you can see the damage on that car. Unfortunately, that is devastating for him. He falls further back down the field. He's trying to rejoin safely now, but ultimately really near the back of the field. Philip Minnow, meanwhile, is up in second, just trying to stem the flow, while Charles Wilkin seems to scamper away ahead. 2-second gap now, but he's got James Leach to contend with. The yellow beer livery just behind the multicolored grumpy monkey livery, and behind him Tion Elof is still hot in the heels as well. You can see the gap that Charles Wilkin has opened up there, as we see a couple more changes further down the field, as Hilton and Hilton Nixon and Neil Pretorius swap places there, the two teammates going side by side through the corner there. Back up to the field now. We've got Tion trying to make a move around James Leach, trying to find a little gap coming around turn 9 again, tucked in behind, trying to get a good toe. Looks like he's trying to swing out wide to see if he can get a pass somewhat around the outside of the next turn. We can see if it's going to happen. That was super close. Oh, there's contact. There's massive contact there. And Tion gets sent into the wall. James Leach, I think, is able to carry on going. But tricky to find out what happened there. The camera was quite far away, but there might be a steward's inquiry coming for that one there. That was deeply unfortunate. And we see there that Tion, unfortunately, is dropping down the field. Brynja Leach now has... just past Peter Kaldenes for P10. Trying to find where Tion Elof is. He has recovered further down the field in P18, so that is devastating for him. And he's now going to have a recovery drive, as we see one of the HLN racing cars also just rejoining the track there. A couple of further changes up in the field. Looks like Sas van der Westhuizen is dropping down the field here. You can see he's going slowly. He must have had a moment with someone as well. Unfortunately, losing a few places out there as well. So the Grumpy Monkey car is not having a good field day out across the field here right now, aside from Philip Munner, who's still tucked into second place and who's just put in a PB of a 105.732, but still 2.5 seconds behind Charles now, so he's going to be looking to make up that distance. What Philip does have in the bag right now is all 15 of his push to passes, where Charles has already used 3, he only has 12 left, so let's see, maybe Philip just keeping a little bit in reserve, happy to keep this sort of gap between Charles. He's got a healthy gap behind him as well because of all those incidents. James Leach currently sitting in third, essentially leading the rest of the train of the field that is coming through right now. Just going to head a little bit further down the field. We see Gregory Hofart in P20, just behind Hilton Nixon, making his way through. Roxanne Bartle in P21. Victor Filter, unfortunately, a little bit further down, plus 3 laps. I wonder if he went into the pits to repair some damage. Unfortunately, he seems to be having a little struggle there, just going off track. Back into Tian Elof, we can see this will be a guy to watch. You can see the damage on the front of that Audi there. The bonnet is lifted. It'll be interesting to see if he, during his pit stop, if he clearly hasn't come into pit to repair the damage early, so perhaps he figures that it's drivable for now. But it'll be interesting to see if he spends any extra time in the pits repairing it, or if it is just some superficial cosmetic damage. We'll have to see. But he's certainly going to look to make his way back down the field. Sass and Peter Kelvnes are having a little battle here. Sass actually continues to lose a couple of places to Peter Kelvnes and Neil Pretorius right now, tucked in behind another Grumpy Monkey car, which I'm not sure who that is, because on the timing, oh, it's Nick and Sass obviously are close together. They're going 3 abreast here. Surely, guys, this is going to end in a little bit of tears. Oh, and there it is, the contact. That was never going to end well. And I think it is Neil Pretorius that is trying to recover there. Yep, 3 into 1 does not go. Expected time changes during the pits. I mean, I think you're looking at about 20 seconds. Maybe we can keep an eye on the first pit stops. Maybe we can give it a bit of a time. Tian Elof now using his push to pass down the main straight, trying to make up for lost time. He is tucked in behind Nick Hodson, another fast driver looking for a recovery drive. He's not going to make it easy to pass. Both of them are, though, sporting damage. Nick, remember, had that massive impact with the wall. Tian has also had some contact. You see both Audis with the bonnets a little bit crumpled and lifted. I'm going to see if it's possible to go on board with them and see if they're sporting any suspension damage. Normally a good indication of it is if your wheel is not held straight. So let's see if we can get a cockpit view. Tian's wheel is looking pretty straight on the straights. We can have a look at Nick's wheel currently. Going around a left-hander. Let's just wait a little bit and see once we head to the main straight. And you can see this lovely driver's eye view here. If you cast your eyes to the rear view mirror in the top right, you can see Tian Elof just tucked in behind him. He's definitely going to look for a good tow. Looking left, looking right. Looks like Nick's going to stay on the inside. He is holding his wheel pretty straight, so for now, it doesn't look like he has any suspension damage. Just a little bit of aero damage as they head down into T1. Tian trying to take a wide line there and get on the inside jump on Nick. But for now, seems to be holding it in. Tian's going to try and gear around the inside. Nick is still holding him off. They're going to go through the S's. Oh, Nick has just slightly lost control there in the drift and yielded 2 places, unfortunately. So, yeah, not getting the better of that battle there. Tian seemingly keeping it nice and clean in that instance and making it way through without any contact. Back up to Philip Minnaar. He's still safe in second. Yep, Jackie mentioning that out. He's in a good spot right now, I think. Yep, still holding that gap to Charles. It was about 2.5. It's now 3 seconds, so it's slowly creeping up and up. But certainly doesn't have any pressure from behind from James Leach, who is in third and also opening up a slight gap to Hardest Boyser in 4th position for Point Blank Racing. We see a couple of drivers putting in their PBs as they flash on the scoreboard in purple. So everyone's sort of settling into a rhythm now. This is probably one of the closest battles on track right now, for around about P5. You see Dirk Brand trying to put some pressure on Lee Forster, excuse me, as he comes around P6, 7, heading into P8 now, which is quite a little sharp left turn. There's a bit of elevation change. Oh, someone's gone wide off there. Who is that in that orange car? As he tries to rejoin, hopefully safely. It looks like, what's that? Apologies, I'm not sure who's in one of the generic liveries. Was it, Renier Leach is currently side by side with, I think it's Dirk Brand. Apologies, yes. So used to Dirk being in his signature JPS livery special. John Player. But yeah, now he is coming under all sorts of pressure from Renier Leach. He's gone wide though, and this surely is going to allow Renier Leach to sail by into T1 there, and that pass is safely made without further contact. Back up now to Shren Raj Paul. Tian Elaf, we've just seen get past Sas van der Vestes. Apology, I missed that one. In fact, Sas continues to drop further down. He's clearly had an issue here. And yet another incident that we've missed our track. So he's having a terrible field day. Has allowed Nick Hudson, his teammate, to get past though, as he continues his recovery drive. Now coming up behind the back of the Grumpy Monkey Academy car. I don't believe there will be any team orders here. But we'll see if Cameron Kelly yields or not. I'm pretty sure that they're not going to yield. But as I say that, Nick seems to be going up the inside of Cameron quite safely. In fact, apologies, that is Sass ahead of Cameron. The two Grumpy Monkey liveries, very difficult to distinguish who's who. And he peels up into the pits immediately. So there you can see Nick bombing it into the pits. I'm pretty sure he's going to take his repair in addition to his early pit stop. So trying to get the jump, perhaps. Take an early pit stop on the rest of the field and come out hopefully in no traffic so he doesn't get held up too much. We'll see, very interested to see if that bonnet clamps shut down again if they do the repairs. There it does. So he has repaired the damage, and now he's going to look to do a monumental recovery drive essentially from the back of the field right now. He does have 12 pushed passes in the bag, so yeah, we'll have to see how he does. He does look like he's come out in some clean air for now. So yeah, we'll have a look at how he gets on. Hilton Nickerson and his teammate Neil Pretorius battling it out, going side by side. For now, Hilton keeping it ahead. You can see on the driver's side windows as well how many push to pass activations they have. So there you can see the little 10 for Hilton, and Neil behind him having 8. Just going to jump further up the field here to Lee Forster, who is close behind Hardest Boyser. Just under a second there, that gap. I'm going to go on board with Hardest Boyser and try and look behind. Oh, as we just saw Lee Foster getting a little bit wide there and touching the grass, which I think allowed the gap to open up a little more. On board here with Cameron Kelly, as we can see the BWR, that's the Black Widow racing car of Mike McGear, looming in the mirrors, getting tantalizingly close. See a pass has just been made by Gregory Hofart on Roxanne Bartle, both in the Grumpy Monkey Academy livery cars there. Yeah, so Nick certainly has a lot of work to make up right now. Taking that early pit stop, repairing the damage, maybe doing the undercut on the rest of the field for pit stops. So we'll see if he can do some good laps now. We'll see what his lap times are. See if he can make up a lot of lost time. Hardest Boycer in front of Lee Forster there. Hardest, of course, in the point blank black and white racing livery. Lee Forster behind. That's just one of the default Audi TT Cup liveries, the red, white, and black car. So they storm their way over T1. So having a look at Charles Wilkin all by himself out in front still. Lots of space ahead of him. He hasn't reached the back markers just yet. Philip Minard still holding about that 3-second gap, has come down now to about 2.8 seconds, so he just seems to be biding his time right now, maybe just preserving his tyres, as Jackie's mentioned in chat. Just happy for now to stick where he is, not really pushing too hard, trying to close that gap up. He's used one push to pass, and he's just used another one actually on coming out of T9 onto the main straight here, gone from 14 to 13. Orange showing it's active in the tower there right now, and then it goes blue into that sort of cool down phase before you're allowed to use it again, and then it'll go grey. So maybe he is just either trying to catch Charles or perhaps just trying to maintain that gap. Perhaps monitor by a crew chief and other means how many push passes Charles has left. And shout out here from Dennis. Moodley in chat shouting for Shrenraj Paul, saying that livery is hot. I do agree, it does look very cool. It reminds me of like one of those, always just runs wide there a little bit and gets a little bit bouncy over the curbs as he re-enters. But yeah, it reminds me of one of those liveries that the car manufacturers take when they've just designed a new car and they're trying to put on a camouflage look and go around the Nürburgring and do a fast lap time. But yeah, very, very nice skin there. You see Mike McGeer pushing as well. He's just made a move past Peter Keldenhuis. He seems to be dropping back. I'm not sure if Peter has a problem. He seems to be going very slowly. He's just allowed Hilton to pass him as well. So I'm not sure what's going on here with Peter. His side doors are looking a little crumply. Maybe he had an incident and is nursing some damage now, but certainly seems to be struggling just behind the Audi of Hilton there. I wouldn't say it is cursed. Nah, doesn't exist. They are side by side crossing the line here. What's going to happen down at T1? Peter does have the inside line. He's getting a little sideways. Don't think there was contact. It just looked like he got a little bit drifty. Yeah, certainly good battles down the midfield pack here still. As both HLN cars looking very menacing, I'm sure, in Peter Keldenhuis' mirrors. As actually we see, commentator's curse maybe, one of them running wide as I called him out. I think that was Hilton, as he just takes, yields a position to Neil there. Oh, Peter getting very sideways there. And it's going to lose a lot of time and it's going to put the HLN cars back into contention. So yeah, Peter Keldenhuis not looking too comfortable in this car, in this race, particularly right now. He does have 16 push-to-pass activations remaining though, so it doesn't look like he's dipped into any. Question from the field from Jackie: when do we expect the top 5 to pit? You know, most guys I would expect to pit around the middle of this race. Oh, we see what is going on here. Charles has lost all of the time to Philip. Is Philip making his move? Now just 0.3 seconds behind Charles Wilkin. That gap was 3 seconds. Philip's used a couple of push to passes, perhaps just trying to catch up with Charles here, otherwise Charles perhaps made a mistake. But yeah, as I was saying, I think we expect the majority of people to pit somewhere around halfway through the race. We've seen Nick do the undercut, mostly to repair the damage. I think he felt he was losing far too much time lapping with that damage throughout the field. I think we've seen Tion do almost the opposite effect, although it does look like he's dropped down again. Yeah, he has repaired his damage. That bonnet has come down. But he certainly pitted a lot later than what Nick did. Philip Minos, yeah, let's just keep a close eye on this battle here, tucked in behind Charles. 0.23 seconds. Let's have a look here. Apologies while I flick through the cameras. Looking back to Philip Minard. This is coming around turn 6 and 7. And now we're about to hit the very sharp turn of 8. See how close Philip is getting there. Just trying to maximize the radius of the corner, going out as wide as possible. This is going to be the critical moment when he's coming around T9. He's already going sideways. I thought he would tuck in behind a little bit. Now he is looking to yield a little bit and try and get that draft. Surely using the push to pass. Yes, there we see the push to pass activated. 12 shining brightly in orange. So let's see if he tries to make the move down the inside of turn 1. It's got an overlap. It's only about a half an overlap. The oil is getting upside. There's going to be, I was about to say there's going to be contact. It looked like they were on a collision course there, but he did actually pull out of it and has tucked back in behind Charles. So we are having a monumental battle for P1 now as the sparks fly as they go over those curbs through the S-bends. And Philip's still maintaining a lot of pressure on the back of Charles right now. Great racing for P1. Jackie, I don't believe the undercut's going to work. I think it was really just Nick having no other option than to pit because of that damage. It was far too early to pit for a so-called undercut. That being said, you know, he may have put on some harder compound tires. I don't think, actually I can see. Let's see. Yes, Nick is currently on the hard tire, but so is the majority of the rest of the field. I do have a couple of guys on the medium tire. We've got Lee Forster currently in 5th position on the medium. So he might pit halfway through the race and put on another set of mediums. Anyone pitting early definitely needs to put on the hards, otherwise they are just not going to last. Hilton Nickerson, interestingly, is on the hard tyre. His teammate Neil Pretorius on the medium tyre, so the two teammates opting for a separate race strategy. Tien Elof still making his recovery drive up the field is on hards. But yeah, certainly the top two now still on hards as well. So they might even be going late into the race and doing a last minute splash and dash. As we see a Grumpy Monkey Academy car off there, I think that is Greg Hofart. Is indeed, as he tries and rejoins parallel in a safe manner. Very good job. And yeah, Philip Mann has just dropped back again to 0.6, so I wonder if he's going to make another move on Charles here, or if he's just going to relinquish the position for now. So whether Lee Foster is a threat or not, I'm not sure at this stage. He's doing very well in P5, keeping very clean out of any sort of incidents for now. Although, as I say, he's side by side with one of the point-blank cars, which I think is hardest Boycer just in front of him. But yeah, if Lee Foster can make those mediums work and they don't overheat, and he can put halfway through and put in another fresh pair of mediums, he could do pretty well there. As we see the 2 point blank cars though getting very threatening, as we see a move there in the background. That is actually Sean Bingham putting a move on Lee Forster in the second of the point blank livery cars going through there. So a good position made up then. We've just seen a change in position. Philip has got past Charles Wilkin. So now let's see what will Charles do in response as they comes around P8. About to head into P9. Let's see if he is tempted by a push to pass activation, desperate to reclaim the position or not. Both try and take a wide line through there through 9. You see further down the field, Hilton Nixon making a move on Roxanne Bartle. Not seeing any push to passes activated yet for these top two. They're both sitting green. Grey rather, apologies, so they're available. So for now, it looks like Charles is just going to do another lap or two, suss out his compared to the Philip, who's currently in the lead now. James Leach, who's still in third, holding third very safely. Jackie, unfortunately we don't have replay functionality in Assetto Corsa 1. That feature is only available in Assetto Corsa Competizione. Apologies for missing that pass, ladies and gentlemen. There was further action down on the field. But we will try and keep a closer eye on. And we see Grumpy Monkey Academy car off there, just pulling off the track there. I'm not sure if he was being overly generous to the leaders coming through to lap him. As we see Sharon Roachball get past Renia Leach. Oh, there's a lot of not contact. Well, there is contact. Oh dear. That's Renia Leach, unfortunately getting caught up in the mix. 3 cars do not go into 1, and is he trying to rejoin the track? Hopefully safely. Try and flick to him. He has indeed got going again, but those cars certainly having a bit of a battle there, and continues to go on between Shran, Rajpur and Lee Forster, who drops another position as Shran makes the pass stick. There's a lot of action all the way up and the down. It's difficult to keep track of all of it. This looks like the closest battle according to my timing tower right now. Tian Elaf just making another move there. It looks like there's a bit of a... James Leach continuing to struggle. James Leach Sr., that is. Dirk Brand making his way. I literally can't keep up with all the passes going on a track right now. Makes his move stick on Lee Forster, who is continuing to drop down. So what I suspect here is that Lee Forster, who just a couple of laps ago was in position 4, on the medium tyres, I think is now starting to struggle. Those tyres are either overheated or have fallen off the cliff in terms of grip levels, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him coming into pit very, very shortly. Back up at the top now, we have Charles Wicken half a second behind Philip, and maintaining that gap for now. Down the straight, no one of the two tempted to use the push to passes for now, so I think they're holding them a little bit in reserve as we see sparks fly as they bounce over the curbs. James Leach putting in a 106.365. 106 is for Sean Hardis and Shiren Rajpal and Dirk Brands. Everyone's lap times keeping fairly consistent. And as we suspected, Lee Forster is dived into the pits. Those mediums had definitely fallen off the cliff. If anything, he's probably kicking himself that he didn't pit a little bit earlier. But I can tell you now, he's gone back out on... Wait for him to cross the pit line, lane timing line. He's gone back out on mediums. So hopefully he can make them last the rest of this race. And P13, we'll see how many positions he can reclaim. He will have a lot of pace now initially with those fresh mediums, and he's tucked in about a second behind Mike McGear, who's about half a second behind Cameron Kelly. So we'll see if we can we'll keep an eye on the timing tower, see if he starts making some moves on that. Charles Wilkin is dropping down the pack. Is he in the pits? No, he doesn't. Apologies, timing tower just had a bit of a freak out. So yeah, still just over half a second behind Philip Minnar right now. Next closest gap on the field, I'm seeing Mike McGear coming around the bend here, just around T9, trying to get a good exit onto the main straight, tucked in behind Cameron Kelly of that Grumpy Monkey Academy car. This could be a pass here. Mike is using his push to pass. Cameron didn't manage to run defense, always cutting into the inside line, and that was ambitious, and they both go off track there. As we try and skip to Cameron, unfortunately he's got the worst end of that deal there and puts it into the wall. Unfortunately for him, not looking too bad, but he does drop quite a few more positions as he drops down the field. Let's see what's happening now. James Leach in third position, 10.8 seconds behind Charles Wilkin, who is 0.7 seconds behind Philip Minnar. That gap is slightly opening up, but he's still within reach. I'd say let's just see which one of these two are gonna pull the trigger first and go into the pits. We have 20 minutes, 23 minutes to be exact, left of the pit window, so still plenty of time. Nicodson making a move on Cameron Kelly there as he still continues his recovery drive. But Lee Forster and Mike McGear fairly close, just under a second there. Oh, Lee running a little bit wide there, possibly trying to push too hard as he makes up some positions on these medium tires. But I'm pretty sure we will see, if he keeps it keen and consistent, see him about to challenge Mike McGear for P11. Just keeping an eye on those leaders there, that gap still nice and constant. Sas van der Veste in P9, also a little bit of a recovery drive, catching up to the back of the yellow Leach Racing car of Renia Leach right now. Also coming around P9 onto the back straight, the main straight rather. Tian Elaf continues this recovery drive as well, just passing the HLN team driver of Hilton Nickerson there. Tian having 8 push to passes remaining. And Lee Foster has made his way past Mike McGear. So he does indeed continue that charge on the medium tyres. They are certainly working very well from him now. As we see a few cars dive into the pits. Neil Pretorius, Mike McGear. And the leaderboard will shuffle around while those pit stops are happening. So this is roughly halfway through the race where we expected most cars to pit. About a minute and a half early. So around about this time as well, we'll try and see what happens to these leaders. Which one will bite first in terms of going into the pits, or if they're actually going to run quite late into a bit of an overcut. So Tian Elof here getting past the Grumpy Monkey and Grumpy Monkey Academy car, both of them. A little bit of argy-bargy there as Nick goes side by side with Roxanne Bottle. And it looks like that move should be safely done around the outside. Well, it isn't done yet, actually. As they come down the main straight, they're actually going to be side by side. So yeah, certainly no team orders here, but actually Roxanne is diving into the pits, so that's relieved the pressure from that. And Nick now just has Tian Elof in front of him to contend with. Unfortunately, I've just seen Cameron Kelly DNF from the race. It's just before 9 o'clock. There's a chance he may have logged off safely to shut down before the power cuts. Hopefully, maybe that wasn't or wasn't the case. But yep, Cameron, sad to see you go. James Leach still putting in a 1S6s as almost the top 5 or 6 guys. Very consistent there. And this is going to be interesting now. I see Philip Minor coming up to some traffic, which may or may not prompt the call to go into the pits to try and get rid of the traffic and come out somewhere else. Charles Wilkin now a full second behind Philip. So let's see, the Grumpy Monkey Academy car seems to be getting nicely out of the way. Just going to hold an outside line there, allowing Philip to come through on the inside. He tucks safely in front there. A little further down, Shiren Rajpaul rather making a move on Harness Boyser. Still a healthy amount of push to passes left in that car, 12. That gap now between Philip and Charles has opened up quite considerably. 6 seconds, now 7 seconds. Not sure what's happened to Charles here. Maybe he had a little bit of an off. But that is going to make it very interesting for the pit lane strategy calls. He suddenly lost quite a bit of time. Whether he dives in now or Philip dives in now, soon we'll see if they're just going to stay out there. Philip's not coming in as he dives across the pit line. The start-finish straight, rather. Going to T1. Which of the front runners have not pitted? Philip hasn't, Charles hasn't, James Leach hasn't, Sean Bingham hasn't, Shiren Rajpaul hasn't. Don't believe Hardison, Dirk and Sass have either. So pretty much the top 10, according to my records, have not pitted yet. Lee Foster has and is on the medium tyres, so certainly still trying to charge down that top end field and try and make some passes whilst the rest of the field take their pit stops. Just 17 minutes left of the pit window now. That now has opened up almost 10 seconds between Philip and Charles Wilkin. We're going to go a little bit further down the field now that there's no threat of an imminent pass. Reynolds, Pole and Hardest Boyce now the closest battle on track. About a 0.7 difference. So the pit window time, just to explain it again, essentially we have an hour-long race. You can pit at any time during the race, but there's one mandatory pit stop. So to clear that mandatory pit stop, you have to have pitted during the pit window. Now the pit window is specified to open 10 minutes into the race, so when the clock had 50 seconds left on the clock, and the pit window closes with 10 minutes of the race left to go. So if you don't pit within that window, you actually get instantly disqualified. If you pit outside of that window, in other words before the window opens, it doesn't count and you're going to have to pit again. Have a look a little bit further down the field. Lee Foster and Tion Elof getting a little bit closer here. Only a half a second gap. Tion is trying to make up on Lee Foster right now. The two red, white and black Audi Sport liveries. Tion having the more black side doors compared to Lee, who seems to be just getting out of the way there. That was a freebie pass. It wasn't even yielding for a back mark or anything. So yeah, 3 positions. I'm sure he's happy with that, as Nick also sneaks his way through Lee Foster. So unfortunately not sure what happened there. Maybe a little bit of a mistake from Lee Foster. That has certainly allowed Nick and Tion to power their way through. Alternatively, it may have just been a strategy call from Lee to say, hey listen, I know these guys are way faster than me, let me just not battle with them and lose time and let them through. Occasionally as a back marker or a mid-pack runner, I've done that myself when I see a person who's qualified in P1, P2, you know they're extremely quick and on a recovery drive. There's no point really in trying to battle them. We see another car dive into the pit lane, Roxanne Bartle coming in for her scheduled stop. Top end of the field here, Srenraj Paul coming up behind a BWR car, which is probably Mike McGear. Let's see if we can verify that. It is indeed, which is technically a back marker, so we'll see if Mike... he doesn't have to dive out of the way immediately. Blue flag rules at Samari South Africa are advisory, but what that does mean is that you're not allowed to defend your position. So, you can't be hugging the inside line or the apex or blocking, that type of thing. Peter Keldenes has just made a move on Tion Elof, which is interesting. Not sure what happened there. I'm trying to see. Tion Elof is still tucked in behind a Grumpy Monkey Academy car here. I think that is also a back marker because it's not reflecting on the timing board. As we see Nick Hodson getting really squiggly behind. This is definitely for a race position. Let's see if we can go on board of Tion Elof looking back behind to Nick Hodson, who is getting all sorts of upsides. The insides of the corner, is there going to be contact? No, they keep it nice and clean as they both come through. And they're still side by side coming through P8. A little quick left and then a flick right, and they try and maintain as much speed as possible onto the main straight. Looks like Tion has the inside line for now. Will Nick be able to come back at him? We'll have to see now as they come around through the main straight. Will any of them bite and use a little push to pass? Nick has 11 left, Tion has 6, which is not a lot. He's probably going to want to keep them in reserve. We see Nick getting as close as he can, pulling out of the slipstream, but it looks like he's going to have to yield and back out of that corner there for now. And get through safely for another lap. See Neil Pretorius and Hilton Nickerson again, teammates having a swap. These guys are having a nice fun team battle. I'm just going to go back up and stay with this Nick Hudson battle for now, being the closest one on track as it stands. As we see the Greg Perfart getting past Roxanne Bartle there in the Grumpy Monkey Academy cars. Peter Colnes. Oh, Nick Hudson is making a move on Tion. Goes side by side. Not sure the move is safely banked yet. They're coming down the main straight again. So again, I think Tian's tucked in behind, but he's going to pull out. He's flashing the lights. A little bit of frustration there. But I think Nick has safely gone through. They're extremely wide coming through T1 there. Trying to just maintain as much momentum as possible. But for now, at least, it looks like that move is done. I can see Nick had his push to pass in use because it was on the cooldown. It's just flicked down to 10. He does have a few more in terms of the advantage over Tian. So why not? Back up now to Sean Bingham and Shiren Rajpal, all very close to Hardest Boyser as well for P5 as they come across the start-finish line heading into T1. You can see the brakes glowing hot as they're hard on the brakes into T1, throwing it around. Oh, a little bit of a drift there for the Grumpy Monkey Academy car. I think that is a back marker who's going to get well out of the way off track, just allowing Shiren Rajpal to come through safely. The Point Black Racing of Hardest Boyser though is for position, which is just behind them. He's now stuck behind that traffic. Looks like they're going to stay safely out of the way and not impede too much. It's a question from Jackie: how do I decide when to penalize track limits? So essentially, since we don't have live stewards in this race, unfortunately we don't have enough people, if a driver spots another driver exceeding track limits and gaining an advantage, that is the key sort of phrase, they are welcome to report it to the stewards, and if the team of stewards is about 5 of us, will evaluate, and if they're deemed to have gained a significant lasting advantage, they may be at the mercy of stewards to get a time penalty added to their timesheets post-race, essentially. So before the points are calculated, we'll divvy up all the stewards' warnings and penalties and adjust where you essentially finished in the race accordingly before issuing up points. We see Renier Leach dive into the pit lane now. He's coming in for his scheduled stop, I imagine, dropping a few places. Charles Wilkin and Philip Minnar still out. Philip Minnar is pitted now. So there he is, and that is going to allow Charles, most likely 10 seconds behind, to pass. I don't believe he had enough of a gap. Maybe he did. That was an extremely quick stop from Philip. Probably just a little bit of a splash and dash. Definitely trying to do an overcut here. Or a later pit stop as possible, should I say. He has managed to stay ahead of Charles Wilkin. So that has actually worked out extremely well for Philip. He almost had a pit stop in the back, as we see a Leach racing car getting very sideways there. Trying to see if I can figure out who that is. It's not James Leach Sr. Is it Renier Leach? This is Renier Leach who makes his recovery back onto the track there. Sas van der Westhuizen piling into the pits now. Or exiting the pit, shall we say. Also, extremely quick stop. It seems like the Grumpy Monkey cars have gone for a splash and dash pit stop strategy. So we'll see a couple of cars shift around the timing board as those pit stops get completed. I don't believe Charles has pitted yet, so he's in third, but still needs to make a pit stop. And Philip Minnar is looking very pretty for this race now in P1, having done his pit stop with 11 push to passes in the bag, one of them active as we speak, now just enters cooldown the main straight. So he is certainly pushing and looking very healthy. James Leach in a solid P2 for now as well, but remember he also has not done his pit stop. So I think now between James Leach and Charles Wilkin, the podium spots are still up for grabs. Hey Bruce, just confirming there that Cameron's net died. Oh, that's unfortunate. I see Dirk Brand is also in the pit lane and DNF'd as well, unfortunately. So sorry to see him not finish the race either. Charles Wilkin just getting past a Grumpy Monkey Academy backmarker there. Neil Pretorius, I've seen, has just used his last push to pass, so for another 17 minutes, no more for you, sir. But for now, safely ahead of his teammate, and also ahead of Christy Simon, just a little bit behind him in the Grumpy Monkey Academy car. So he comes over the hill of T1, quite a few elevation changes in this track. Go and find the next battle. Again, it's the Point Blank Racing car of Hardest Boyser against Shiren Rajpal just behind. come around the main straight. Oh, he's diving to the pit lane. Yes. So I was about to say there was a passing opportunity there, but he has decided to take his pit stop now. A couple more cars diving into the pit lane. Everyone's coming in now. James Leach Sr., Roxanne Bartle, Hilton Nickerson, Victor Filter coming in as well. Sort of the, yeah, extended the life of those tires. Everyone figures now's the time. Shirin Rajpul now up into 5th. I don't believe he's pitted either, so he's going to need to very soon. Speedy Geldness makes his way through Hardest Boyser there. Brakes glowing hot as they brake super hard, and someone misses their braking point into that little turn 8 flick left. Then they try and maintain as much speed as possible through 9 and onto the main straight. Shirin Rajpul is now in the pits, so he's taking his pit stop now, and that'll allow possibly also a very quick stop as well. A little splash and dash. So he might even be able to maintain that position because he's got a healthy gap to Peter Geldness behind him right now. Exits safely. Oh, what has gone wrong here with Shirin? Is there mechanical issues? He is struggling. Oh no! He makes contact with the back of Hardest Boyser there. I'm not sure what's happening there. Maybe some mechanical. Oh, he's having terrible issues. Must be some sort of mechanical failure. Maybe with his pedals or something. Something clearly wasn't working correctly there, and unfortunately has made contact with a couple of cars. Maybe at the mercy of the stewards. Unfortunately has made contact with the Hardest Boyser, who seems to have managed to keep going. Sas van der Westhuizen sneaks through as well, so hard luck there for Shirin. Quite curious to hear on chat afterwards what happened there. But that certainly didn't look normal. Definitely struggling with something there mechanically, hardware failure or something. And that was bitterly disappointing for him because he was up in 5th and was looking to have a very strong finish. James Leach in P2 now. Him and Charles Wilkin, I believe, still have not pitted. They have about 3 minutes left to do so, which time is running out. Or have they pitted and we've missed it? So much to keep track of. And unfortunately the spectator app, which it doesn't actually exist, a little mod app called the Setacorsa Remote made by the community, at least allows us to flick cameras remotely, but it doesn't really give you much information, such as when they've pitted or not. It does tell you what lap they're on, and it does tell you what tire they're on. That's about it, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on Charles and James Leach. They've got 3 minutes left to do their pit stop if they need to or not. Dirk, what happened in the chat? Says he went to pits and boom, complete and utter lockup of the PC. Oh, Dirk, that is the hardest of luck, man. You're running very nicely in the mid-pack there. Sass, we've just seen make a move on Hardest Boyser coming down the main straight into T1. Hard on the brakes, goes quite wide there. Keeps it within track limits. We've still got Hardest Boyser firm on the back of Sass. So come through the chicanes, the S-bends. Yeah, hard luck, Dirk. That's unfortunate. Better luck next time. See Greg Hofart dive into the pits. So a very late pit stop for him, but at least gets it done. Philip Minnar then out in front, still with a healthy 6.5 second lead over James Leach. So looking very comfy for Philip, unless he comes up to some back market traffic, which if you can look at the little track map there, you can see those little red icons, I believe, are traffic that he is coming up to. Let's see if we can picture who that is right now. There's a BWR car there, it must be Mike McGear. go on board with them as we look back to, yep, indeed, Philip Minnow in the background there. Still a bit of a gap right now. It's not going to be impeding Philip too much, but just in a lap or two's time, that may start becoming a traffic problem. Back down to Sass van der Westhuizen now, just in front of Hardest Boyser. Who is in turn just in front of Nick Hudson. So the two Grumpy Monkey cars are sandwiching the point-blank racing of Hardest Boyser here. As you see in the background, Nick going side by side. Oh, there's a little bit of contact with Hardest Boyser as he muscles his way through. That may or may not be a steward's inquiry coming for investigation, but for now at least they all keep going in the same direction. And everyone keeps going on their merry way for now. Coming down the main straight, we have about just over 10 minutes left in this race, and you could glance down the field. We can see Sharon Rajpaul using his 5th push to pass as it goes into cooldown mode now. A couple other cars further down the field using theirs as well. We can see that some drivers have very few or some have none left. Some drivers have a lot left in the bag. James Leach in particular in P2 has 10 left here. We quickly go on board here. It seems like a lot of traffic going on here as he tries to get past that back marker of Mike McGee at the BWR. And that move has actually just been made by Charles Wilkin on James Leach, who has dived into the pits with 1 second to spare of that pit window. That is cutting it fine. I suspected he hadn't made his pit stop, and that was in record time of avoiding a disqualification. Charles, meanwhile, keeps on sailing, so I think he had safely already pitted, otherwise he would have been disqualified by now. So, yeah, this is most likely where they're going to settle, barring any further incidents. We've got Philip in the front, a healthy 7 seconds ahead of Charles Wilkin. In terms of the push to passes, Charles has 11 left, Philip has 6. So yeah, still got a healthy amount. If Charles is wise, he's only got 9 minutes left in this race. He needs to start using them up. 1 or 2 a lap. Let's go. And there, as I speak, he activates 1, so he goes on to 10 down the main straight. So he's now trying to push as hard as he can to Philip. Philip may or may not realize this in return and see the activations coming from his side as well. Yeah, James Leach holding into 3rd right now. He has 10 activations remaining as well. And a bit of a healthy gap to Sean Bingham in 4th. And Peter Geldenhuys is doing very well for himself at the moment in 5th. But there's Tian Elof in his recovery drive all the way up to 6th now. So a great recovery drive from him following that early race incident. But look at the push to passes. Peter Geldenhuys is 11 burning hot right now. Tian Elof only 4 remaining. So that could play a factor if Peter's trying desperately to stay ahead of Tilof, who is a little bit quicker, just judging from the HLQ times. We can see the rear right-hand panel there almost make contact with the front left of Tian as they go through the S's now. Oh, Tian running very wide there, in fact compromising, I was going to say compromising his time, but he's actually managed to keep the pace up there. So clearly there's a little bit of thing about racing lines, what works and what doesn't. As we see him tucked in behind now, he's trying to find a way around Peter Geldenhuys. He's going side by side down the corner. Is there a little bit of contact, a little bit of rubbing as racing, but it looked like a fair move in the end. And he's made his way past Peter Geldenhuys for 5th position. Now, Peter Geldenhuys has his push to pass burning, desperately trying to remake that position as he comes through P9. Maybe it's a little bit early, but he is trying to hold on to that slipstream of Tian Elof. Unfortunately, we see Roxanne Bartle disconnect from the server. But they will be making their way down the main straight here. Peter is trying desperately. He's pulled out to the outside of T1, trying to break late and cut in through Tian, who runs wide as well again. Desperately trying to find a way around Tian, who still has 4 pushed passes remaining, Peter with 10. But it's just now a matter of the timing. When do you activate that push to pass when you can maximize its usage and get around the essentially this obstacle in front of you safely? Just glancing down the field a little bit. It's definitely the closest battle on track right now, so we'll try and stay with it unless something else catches our eye. Come on, Peter. Yeah, push. It's grey has pushed past, that is, so it's available to him to use. Let's see if he activates it now, coming down the main straight again. Surely, yes, there it is. Burns down to 9 as he tries to make up desperately lost ground to Tian Elof ahead of him, but I fear it may be a little bit too late, as that gap does not seem to be closing. Despite the push to pass being, yeah, it's a little bit closing under braking there, but yeah, just the natural concertina effect. And Peter's now pushing too hard, and he runs wide, which is unfortunately going to widen that gap even more. A little bit further down the field now, Hardest Boyser coming around T1 there in front of Shrenraj Paul in P10, who seems to have settled again following whatever those mechanical issues were earlier. Gear for BWR now, just making a move. The field into P16, coming up to the green and white Audi livery of, who was that? Is that apologies, I'm trying to remember who else didn't have a livery for me today. Is it Victor? It's Victor Filter, the green and white liveried Audi. Still keeping an eye on Peter Feldenes's gaps at Tian Elof. Tian still has 4 push-to passes in the bag. He hasn't touched them in a number of laps now. Peter Feldenes keeps on burning them down lap on lap, which he needs to if he's going to have any chance of making a move on Tian. Just have a little check up on our leaders here. Philip Minar in P1 still with a healthy lead over Charles Wilkin. 3 push to passes left, both on cooldown now, of course, with Charles Wilkin. Everyone, it makes sense to just use whatever you have left now. Charles Wilkin coming through the S-bends now. James Leach still comfortably in 3rd as well. But yeah, very healthy gaps between these top 3, so that's pretty much where they're going to settle for now. I don't see much traffic or anything in between them that could cause problems. Sean Bingham in 4th right now. Again, a good healthy gap ahead of Tian Elof, who is still getting very side by side there and squiggly and sideways with Peter Feldenes, who's managed to get up the inside of Tian Elof here, coming around the next bend. That is not the way around the corner. Very, very close to making contact there. He has to yield and back out of it and slip back in behind Tian. But very aggressive moves there, but good to see as this battle for P5 lives on with 3.5 minutes left on the clock. And Peter Feldenes now with about 5 push passes left to Tian, still 4. You see there in the background a grumpy monkey car coming through, which is Nick Hodson. So again, while these two have been battling, has allowed Nick to climb and close the gap. 2.3 seconds between them. Not sure if he's going to have enough time left in the race to catch up to them, but certainly is going to make for a close finish. Just go on board now with Tian Elof looking back to Peter Feldenes, who's definitely slipped back quite substantially now, 0.6 seconds as they both burn another push to pass down the main straight. Down over T1 there, Peter getting wide as well, which unsettles the car, and he'll no doubt lose a little bit further time. About another 10th loss there, fortunately, but he does seem to do pretty well and braking in these S-bends. You can see how hard Peter's pushing just from how sideways the car is getting. And just behind them, the grumpy monkey of Nick Hudson coming up in the distance, but I don't think he has enough time left in this race to catch those two. But a decent recovery drive from Nick here, after basically being 21st or so after that incident, back up to 7th. And same for Tian, back up into P5th, so great recovery drives from both these drivers. Just having a little bit look further down the field here of Lee Foster, and I believe that's Victor Filter, just a back marker next to him is indeed, so not racing for position there, seem to be going quite slowly through that corner. Not sure if they're just mindful of each other, not trying to make sure they don't have a collision. James Leach in third, coming up behind a back marker of a Grumpy Monkey Academy car. It's a minute 20 left in this race. Someone is facing backwards in the pit lane. Not sure if that was Lee Foster, which is a very late pit stop outside of the pit window as well, so I'm not sure if that was maybe just a little bit of a splash and dash, maybe he ran out of fuel. But yeah, certainly an unscheduled pit stop again for Lee Foster. Remember, he was on the medium tyres, so maybe again the tyres just falling off the cliff literally at the death of the race, but so late in the race to have pitted, it must have been a fuel issue, I'm thinking. James Leach has managed to get past that Grumpy Monkey Academy car, that back marker. Just heading back to Tian now, who runs extremely wide. Where is Peter Caldenes? He's not close enough to capitalize on that mistake from Tian. Peter Caldenes is currently burning his last push to pass. Tian has one left in the bag. Yeah, agreed, Jackie. I don't think the mediums are working out there too much for Lee. I mean, that being said, he isn't P12, a nice solid mid-pack, but we did see in his first stint those tyres just fell off the cliff for him, and it certainly seemed like in the second stint as well. One interesting thing to note is that he's burning one now, his push passes, but he's got 10 remaining, and there's literally the last lap of the race, so something he may have been able to capitalize better on is his usage of the push to passes. Perhaps something for him to try out in the next race. But everyone else across the field is down to single digits, zeros or ones, so essentially maximize their usages there. Quick little look up to Tian, but he's still safely ahead of Pierre Caldenes. We now have the leader, Philip Minnaar, on the last lap of the race. I believe there he is flashing his lights in victory as he is essentially finished now and is on his in-lap. We have Charles Wilkin, who's pulling off there, is a comfortable second, and James Leach a very comfortable third. So congrats to those gentlemen. So James actually just passes the finish line now. And Sean Bingham, Point Blank Racing, crossing the final, or turning around the final corner now, coming down the main straight for a solid P4, just missing out on the podium there. And Tian Elof on a great recovery drive has just passed P1 there as well. Pretty sure he should be finished, should be on his in-lap. Yep, his timing is displayed. So a solid P5 there. Peter Caldenes in 6th position, Nick Hodson 7th, Sas van der West is in 8th, Hardest Boyce in 9th, and Sharon Rush Paul rounding up a top 10 finish. So there you have it, gents. Just a couple more guys making their way around into the track. I'm going to wait and see if we can pull in Philip Minnaar for a quick little interview. If he makes his way into the off-air channel. There he is right now. Philip.
Hello.
How's it going? Congrats on your victory.
Oh, thanks. I'm a bit dumbfounded. Completely unprepared.
No, it looks like it was a great battle there. It looked like, unfortunately, Nick and Tian had a little bit of an incident early in the race, and they fell off the field and had to do a bit of a recovery drive. But that opened the floodgates, so to speak, or at least some space for you and Charles to play around initially. Most of the race, before at least the first pit stops, you seem to have about a 2-3 second gap that you seem to just be managing. And then we were all wondering in chat, you know, when you were who was gonna bite first with that first pit stop. But it looks like you came in first. Yeah, what talk to us about what your thoughts were there, like what your strategy was when you were going to pit?
Tires.
Yeah.
No, yes, so with the first stint, I was catching Ushal every now and then, maybe because of the fact that he was using P2P, but then it was like, Okay, well I've probably got a chance at the raw pace, but yeah, he kept on catching me through T1.
That was very quick. And then I
When he
saw
was in.
towards the end of the race there, you and him were actually very close yet again. And then for some reason he fell off. I didn't quite catch it on camera what happened there, but that gap sort of just opened up again to a safe distance essentially for you for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I think it was out of turn 4, the blind right-hander, where he just might have ran a bit wide, or I think it was something with a back marker. But no,
Yeah,
I'm not
perhaps
sure.
traffic came into play. Yeah. How in general did you find the traffic? Once it got to the stage of passing blue flags and whatnot, drivers well behaved today.
Pretty manageable. The first sector is the tricky part, but the last corner is quite a good spot.
Yeah, because you want to try and maintain as much speed as possible through turn 9 onto that back straight, because you can otherwise lose so much time by the end of it. But yeah, a good race for Grumpy Monkey. It did look like Nick and Sass had some battles today, but Nick had a decent recovery drive. I think he finished 7th in the end there after ending up about 21st after initial incident. I do feel that the stewards are going to be busy. It did look like there are a few incidents on track, unfortunately, but yeah, we'll see how those pan out. But otherwise, yeah, just an overall congrats, Philip, on your win, and onwards to the next one for Thruxton.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
And we'll see you next week as well for GP.
Alright, yeah, cool.
Alright, thanks Philip, have a good evening.
Okay, cheers.
Alright, thanks to everyone else and the viewers for tuning in as well. It was certainly an entertaining race. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys did as well. So yeah, the next round of simTC is going to be Thruxton. So look out for that in a couple of weeks' time in these Audi TT Cup cars. Next week we are racing SimGP again in the Formula Supreme car. The HLQ for that has just kicked off as well. For round 2 we are at Road Atlanta, which again is a new version of the mod track, a 2021 mod version of it, so upgraded track. So yeah, stay tuned and I'll see you next week Monday for that. And yeah, ciao for now.